has unleashed untold misery, pain, suffering, a military colonialized occupation of Tibet. For 64 years, China is doing everything to erase Tibetan identity, Tibetan religion, Tibetan language, and the Tibetans' love for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. But for 64 years, China has failed every time. China has failed because of leaders like Xi Jinping, who look at a short-term profit while taking away a long-term heritage, culture, religion, power of what Tibet and the Tibetan people stands for. And most importantly, China has failed repeatedly to have Tibetans dismiss His Holiness the Dalai Lama. For 64 years, His Holiness the Dalai Lama has been living in exile. He's 88 years old, but still hopes within the Tibetan people in Tibet is that he will one day come back to Tibet, to his rightful throne at the Potala Palace and a free and independent Tibet. 168 Tibetans, some as young as 14 and 15 years old, have self-immolated, burned themselves. Holiness the Dalai Lama after the Chinese occupation. Over 6,000 ancient temples destroyed. But Tibetans have not given up hope. Tibetans have not given up determination. Tibetans in Tibet will not give up until and unless Tibet is independent. The thing that we talk about most when we come to America is the freedom. We talk about how there is a democracy in Tibet, in America. But when the enemy of the state, when a dictator, when a murderer comes to this country, they lay down the red carpet. This person should be in handcuffs, not sitting and eating with the president. This person should be banned because of what he did in Tibet, in East Turkestan, what they did in Hong Kong, what he does in Taiwan, and to all the Chinese dissidents. And together, we are raising the voice so that world leaders will acknowledge what's happening. And to all the CEOs who are paying $2,000 to go and eat dinner with this dictator. The business, the short-term profit that you bring into Tibet or East Turkestan is forced labor, is in concentration camps. Tibet has the largest supply of copper. There is untold mining happening in the Tibetan lands, where Tibetan nomads are displaced. Our way of life, our Tibetan way of life, living in the grasslands, are being taken away. Our language, in the mountains where Tibetan languages like Omane Pemeho were written, are being removed and Chinese proverbs are being put up. This is the kind of insecurity this government has. Yet, China has the audacity to say who the 15th Dalai Lama should be. Shame on China! Shame on Xi Jinping! Shame on everyone who supports and kowtows to the CCP government. Yesterday, we were at the airport. Xi Jinping landed. We saw, about 20 minutes prior to that, President Biden drove. He had a motorcade, about 4 motorcycles, and they have blood in their hands. Every time they sit and shake hands with this dictator, they have blood in his hands. I call on the leaders of California, how easy it is to remove homelessness because you want the dictator to have a good view. How easy it is to curtail Tibetan, Uyghur, Taiwanese and Hong Kong protesters because they don't want this dictator to... We have not given up hope. We will never give up hope. As long as there's one Tibetan living in this world, we will keep fighting for Tibet's independence. And as long as His Holiness is not back here on the Potala Palace, Tibetans in Tibet will continue fighting for freedom, for Rangsen, for every human right that's necessary. So we call on world leaders to say that we are not going anywhere. We will be here, even if it takes another 64 years, because the Tibetan movement is righteous, because the Tibetan freedom fight is right, and the Tibetan independence is our birthright. Pwegalo! 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 Tibet belongs to! Tibet belongs to! Shame on! Shame on! Long live! Long live!
出现了几个人？出现了，从我插出。